There is quite a lot we could say about the Toyota Hilux. It is the hardest working bakkie in Africa. It is an icon, and it has such a loyal following in South Africa that the launch of the new Hilux is one of the most anticipated of the year. Toyota certainly aren't taking that for granted. They've put up quite a large setup at Kyalami for the launch of the all-new Toyota Hilux. As you might have guessed from the backdrop, this is no small event. In fact, Toyota themselves admitted that this is the biggest launch in their history. We had the chance to sample a few versions of the new Hilux at the giant spectacle, which opened to the public a few days later. There was not a lot of expense spared on this one. But frankly, Toyota has to go all out. Lately, they've been losing ground to better looking, more comfortable bakkies. When it comes to that first item, it is a little disappointing. You can see straight away that the design has been updated, but it doesn't have nearly the same attitude as the Ford Ranger or the Volkswagen Amarok. If you had to look for a positive, I guess you could say they've rather gone for style than aggression. Gone is the more square, blunt front end, and in its place, a rather Toyota-esque nose. It can look a little odd from some angles, a little flat and pinched, but overall it's a definite improvement. It's longer and wider than the outgoing model, but there's very little change to the rear styling. If you want to see exactly how it's evolved, check out the short video on the RPM TV website for a side-by-side comparison to the previous generation. But of course, it'll take more than just some new sheet metal to get this bakkie up to speed, because one thing a modern bakkie has to be is refined. We're currently lapping the new Kyalami race circuit, which admittedly is not the first place you'd expect to see a bakkie, but it is a very good place for Toyota to show off just one of the technologies they've crammed into the Hilux to try and delete some of its inherent bakkiness. It's called IMT, and it's fitted to manual versions of the Hilux. Very simply, it matches engine speed to road speed by blipping the throttle to make downshifts as smooth as possible. It's the kind of thing you might expect to find in a road car whose focus is on a smooth drive, and it works brilliantly in here. The Hilux is also available with a 6-speed auto gearbox, which in terms of daily convenience would be the more obvious choice, although Toyota's own figures do tell you that it's also a little less fuel efficient. But driving the manual did reveal something quite surprising. You know, I think I'd have the manual. It would certainly make dealing with off-road conditions more manageable, and it just doesn't feel like it would get in the way of everyday enjoyment. It's got a good shift action, the clutch is nicely weighted, and it's the first impression you get that the Hilux has upped its game significantly. This is undoubtedly a much more driver-friendly setup than any Hilux has ever had. All the interactions are well sorted, and although the ride setup can't quite match the Ford Ranger in terms of absolute comfort, it's still the kind of drive that won't tire you out after the commute. So, Gearbox's good ride setup is sorted. That just leaves the engine as the final part of the driving impression puzzle. Our test car is powered by a 2.8-litre turbodiesel with 130 kilowatts or 420 newton meters. And while it sounds and feels just like a diesel, and like most diesels will run out of puff the closer to 4,000 RPM you get, it does have good low-down torque. Even at cruising speed, it's got that little bit of extra punch if you need it. And if you needed more proof that Toyota are going all out to make you believe that this is a bakkie designed to deliver driving enjoyment, the Hilux is fitted with a power mode, which basically makes more performance available to your right foot, and it doesn't deliver that power in a subtle way. But it's still a Hilux, and that means it has to be capable and dependable when it comes to places where there is no tar. As part of the launch setup at Kyalami, Toyota had an off-road course. I'm always a little skeptical when it comes to the manufactured type tracks, because they're obviously designed and built to suit the car's capabilities. That said, there were some impressive obstacles, and the Hilux managed every one of them easily. There is one aspect of this bakkie that was in desperate need of an overhaul: the interior. This is where the Hilux really has to measure up. A modern top-of-the-range bakkie has to shed its utilitarian roots in favour of a more car-like and friendly setup. The ergonomics have to be good, it has to look great, and it has to be as comfortable as possible. And they've nailed it. This isn't just an improvement. The complete reworking has resulted in a cab that can not only match the competition, but will leave it swallowing dust. Until now, the benchmark has been the Ford Ranger, with its top spec and great space, but the Hilux has gone one better. It's not just the design that sets it apart with a good layout and better than expected materials and space. The spec wouldn't look out of place in an executive saloon. The touchscreen is the most obvious bit, and it is a very good touchscreen. Then there's everything else, including climate and cruise control, USB, Bluetooth, multifunction steering wheel, TFT display on the instrument cluster. The top of the pile 4-litre petrol Hilux also gets sat-nav. The new Toyota Hilux has arrived with better looks than the previous generation and a better interior than anything else in its class. And although it's not the most refined drive you can get, it's lost nothing in the way of toughness and its off-road ability, and that makes it a very good package. I think it's safe to say the king is back. The new Toyota Hilux gets a brand new range of diesel engines, including a 2.8-litre 4-cylinder with 130 kilowatts. Good low-down torque means effortless power off the line, and in-gear acceleration is also good. The 6-speed manual gearbox is a real highlight. Now that it's added real comfort and a top-class cabin to its legendary off-road ability and toughness, there's little doubt it's going to be as in demand as ever.